Okay, so today I wanted to cover young Magnus taking on a gentleman with the name Gronn Atle. If I'm probably butchering it, but I'm trying. So the year is 2005. It's Norway Championship. Magnus had his Grandmaster title recently, and he played Aronian in the World Championship. He was eliminated. He was enjoying his newly acquired powers and playing really strong tournaments. And it was obvious he had tremendous potential. So this game is really entertaining. Um, he is white. It's round 9, Norway Championship. He starts with knight f3, d5, d4, knight f6, c4. So this is called the Semislav. And I'm not going to go into the details for the opening. It's a short and sweet game, so we'll have the fireworks start in no time. Queen b6. So in my database, Queen b6 isn't played often. So maybe it was a novelty, Gronn prepared, who knows? But just taking on c4 is normal, and then white takes the center as compensation for the sacrificed pawn. G5, bishop G3. This is all well-known stuff. Bishop E2, and so on and so forth. So white would have compensation, right? In this case, it's a different game, but Magnus played logically because B2 is hanging, right? We'd have to cover the pawn somehow. Queen C2 looks like the most logical. Knight E4. Now this is a bit tricky. If white takes, then who knows what's going on here? Rook D1 maybe. Rook B1. But then you can take. By the way, there's a bigger problem, right? If rook b1, there's this check, right? There's that check, and we can't do that because it's just hanging. This is mate. King d1, and this can't be good, right? We don't want to lose the right to castle for no reason. So this wouldn't work, and that's why Magnus played e3, just simple, right? You want to play bishop d3, just castle, normal stuff. So bishop b4, bishop d3, queen a5. Okay, so you realize what's going on, right? The black queen came here and then here, whereas Magnus's queen only moved once. You should not move the same thing, the same piece twice in the opening unless there's a really good reason. In this case, okay, I understand. There's a three-way attack on the knight here, right? There's this one, there's this one, this and this attacking. I understand that. We're only covering the knight twice, right? With the queen and with the pawn. Now, rook c1 is playable, right? But then this pawn is hanging. This would be great, but the computer is not letting me do it because it's pinned. And okay, so there's compensation ideas in chess that it has many different manifestations. One of them is just development. So Magnus said, okay, please go ahead and take my pawn. I don't care. Because what I have in return is, look, how many pieces does white have developed? Well, basically the whole army, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rooks are yet to be developed, so let's just say 5 versus 3. Let's just put it like this, 3. And black does win a pawn in compensation, so black has to take to justify what he just did. Take, rook b1. And now let's do the count once again. 1, now it's developed, right? Very good. Rook, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces developed versus 2. That's alarming. Let's keep going. DC. I don't know. I would probably consider, like, what's wrong with castling here? Sometimes, by the way, in these videos, I like turning the engine on, but anyone can turn the engine on and say, oh, of course, the white does this, and it's obvious. But sometimes I want to convey what goes through my mind when I look at a position, and I'm curious if you think similarly. So here, well, black really wants to catch up in development. So castling makes more sense to me. But is there a refutation? Is there a refutation of this? Now the bishop is lacking breathing space, right? Can we take advantage of that? For example, like this, but then bishop probably just drops back. I don't know, maybe c5, but then queen a3, the rook b3. Hard to say, hard to say. It's just much more pleasant to play with white as opposed to black, right? I can also try to attack the enemy king. The bishop is a liability, but I don't have to worry about that just yet. Maybe e4 is strong, trying to open up lines. I'm not sure what to do. Maybe rook b3. Again, my mind is going back to the bishop, c5. I want to win the bishop. Maybe this is the way to go, right? Queen a4, I presume, is forced to prepare for this one. And is the bishop escaping? The bishop is escaping, yes. I'm trying to refute it, and okay, I'm going to cheat and turn on the engine now. This is, by the way I recommend studying chess. How to proceed, right? So the top three moves are a3, bishop h7 check, and bishop e7, which we looked at now. I did look at this, but I didn't quite get the point. But c5 is mentioned. So let's look at the simple idea. Rook b3, we mentioned, right? That wins completely. Yeah, this is mentioned as +4 in the engine, and I'll take it. It's fine. Queen a4, rook b1. Yeah, the engine line is there. And now queen b2 or queen c1. White is dominating. So, okay, castling doesn't work. Black took, white took back, and bishop b4. Once again, black is playing with two pieces, and white is using the whole army. So you can probably guess the end of the game, right? Knight e5, bishop d6. Once again, just queen and bishop. f4. Now, I'm not sure if f4 was necessary. What else could we do? Well, f4 is the best move. There's another idea, but I'm not going to show just yet. f4 is the best move. Magnus, at the age of 15, is still playing amazingly accurate chess. Queen back. And okay, look, again, I want to draw the attention to this. Queen and bishop has made most of the last moves, whereas white is going forward with the army, putting the knight here, pushing, gaining center and space, preparing for the attack. So queen c7, queen e4, b6. And now I encourage you to stop the video and think for a second. What would you do with white right now? Okay, if you took a second to think for yourself, maybe the first idea that comes to your mind might be f5. What we want to do is to open up the bishop. It's connecting on the f7 square, the rook too, right? So this move makes a lot of sense. And you can start calculating. If it's taken, we could just take here. But then remember, our queen is also hanging. So this is maybe possible. Still winning, actually, for white. But maybe we have so many pieces in play that's simply taken back. And yes, we sacrifice, but maybe it's fine. If castle now there's a beautiful finish. Well, there's knight g4, but also bishop f6. There's so many pieces I can just start giving them, no problem. And you see what happens here, right? If it's taken, there's this check. This is one of my favorite mechanisms here. The pawn cannot take because it's pinned. So king h8, and now how do we give checkmate? boom, boom, and I think this is easy enough, and there's no stopping this mate. Yes, you can take here, but I'll ignore you. Yep. Okay, so f5 is certainly winning, but is there a more explosive solution? Well, checks and captures, right? So did you consider the move knight takes f7? If you haven't, well, stop the video now and try to see what happens if it's taken. It really has to be taken. There's a rook hanging, right? Um, castling is technically legal, right? But bishop d3 is just lights out very quickly. It's obvious that the king cannot survive. Okay, so black took, and how do we proceed from here? What's the most natural way to continue? We already said f5, right? Now bishop and queen are lined up, so it makes sense. Queen h5. Let's keep going. Bishop takes e6. And now any kind of discovery with the bishop anywhere will be a check. So knight d7 was played. And now if we play this way, then the king can take. And actually it's equal according to the engine. So you have to be careful. And if you do this, trying to win the queen, well, king can take again. So let's be careful. What can we do here? How can I prepare the diagonals that when the bishop moves, I can take the queen? So in other words, if the bishop could jump over the pawn here and boom, go here with check, right? Exposed check on the king, the queen would drop, right? So how do you enable that? F6, right? And once again, I don't recommend counting pieces in this position because really, yes, black is up a piece, but this rook is actually this rook too. You can remove both rooks from the board and prepare them for the next game. They're just not participating. So white can sacrifice as much material as possible. Pawns, pieces, it doesn't matter. Just open up lines and diagonals towards the king. That's what matters. So here the threat is obvious. Bishop g4 check. There might be a mate too. Maybe bishop g8. I don't know. Maybe f7. Something is definitely mating. Clearly, there's so many. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces bearing down on the black king. It's just lights out. So black took, and now I think the most well, actually, I was going to say bishop g4 check, but that doesn't work, right? Because our queen also hangs. So let's be careful. How can I see how the logic is working, right? First, I wanted to threaten bishop g4 check, and I'm still playing for that, right? You don't have to give checkmate necessarily. If you can win a decisive amount of material, the game is over. I can't do that still, because my queen in turn hangs to the knight. Okay, let's remove that knight then. Rook takes f6. It's just simple logic. And now if you take, I think just the simplest is bishop g4 check. Finally, our wildest dreams have come true, and this is just resignable right away. Okay. Well, instead, black took here. Well, now if we do this, it's still very much winning, but black gets some compensation. It's +9, says the engine, so not really, but that was one way to go. But I think Magnus played, well, the best way. Can you see forced mate from here? It is mate in, well, mate in 6 technically, but more realistically, mate in 3. Checks and captures. So queen takes c6, check first. Now, where can the king go? If bishop d7, then we take. So boom, 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 boom. Okay, so sorry, I was going to say this and the queen f7, but already the rook is here, so it's already mate. Okay, good. So king e7, and now calculate further. Just 2 more moves, realistically, right? How do we give mate? Rook f7. If king goes back, we just take, and it's mate next move, right? Or in a few moves, king e8. Where's the mate? This is mate, right? Bishop d7. This is a nice mate. I'll just show very quickly. 1 second. Bishop d7. Okay, bishop d7. King takes rook. Queen e6 and queen e8. On light squares, we give checkmate, right? So it's my computer's acting up. Okay, boom. So bishop d7, take is mate, and if you take the rook, then this is mate. This also mates very, very quickly. So you can pick and choose at this point. Okay. Instead, rook f7, and well, the more natural move is just king takes bishop. And now, what's the mate in one move? Yeah, that one. Checkmate. So round 9, Magnus won in style. I hope you enjoyed this game. I think it's very, very organically flowing. Just a nicely orchestrated attack. All right. See you next time.